Hi, good morning everybody. So today is the last day of February. Urban Sketchers Singapore is going to meet at Clarke Quay to have our monthly meetup, and I am going to prepare to go for the sketchwalk later. I've been talking about different styles of urban sketching, how to find your style, how to travel sketch, how to pack your bags, and I realized that I haven't actually shared how I do sketching in the video. So this is a good chance to actually bring you through from the start to the end of my whole sketching process, so that you know how I translate the scene into my paper. So stay tuned as I make my way over to Clarke Quay. I'll see you there. Today's sketchwalk is at Clarke over there and Clarke Quay area. So I thought I'm going to do this corner because I really like how the shop houses are arranged, and that I can see Clarke actually at the background. So let me break down the scene here. So if you notice, firstly you need to look at the size of your paper. So if this is the size that you're going to sketch on, right, you need to make sure that when you're looking at the scene, you have to try to fit all these into this dimension. So I'm taking the lamppost here as one of the side, like probably this end and till the end of this row here. So I have to squeeze everything, and I think I probably want a little bit of this side, so maybe at the top I will cut it off here. So this into here. So that's how I'm going to do it. So this scene looks pretty complicated, right? But if you look at shapes and not objects, it will be easier. When we look at the scene, we can see big shapes. The building next to me will be one, and this long building over here is another big shape. There are also medium-sized shapes. For example, the pillar over here is a pillar for the canopy, and another pillar at the back. In fact, the canopy itself is made up of medium-sized shapes, triangular and rectangular shapes. Don't think of it as a canopy. Then there are the small ones like the doorways, the windows, and these can be seen as like semicircles or rectangles or small strips, and they make the scene more interesting, or these are what we call the details. Let's not forget that at the back we have another small shape, which is Clarke, and of course the trees and their leaves. So can you see that the scene in front of me is just made up of large, medium and small size shapes? So I'll test out my ideas using a 2-minute thumbnail sketch. For sketching, I prefer to do a draft because I want to make sure that my perspective is correct. So in a pencil draft, I'll mark out the buildings and the landmarks on the paper according to the proportion to the frame that I have chosen. So this is how I have sketched it up with a pencil draft. It's kind of messy, but I'll erase out this part. So I'm thinking of maybe just concentrating on having light lines, very fine lines. Before we start to sketch, we need to identify the darkest areas and the brightest areas. And you can easily do this by converting your photograph to black-white. So I am representing the darkest area with the blue highlighted portions. As you can see, I'm highlighting all the darkest portions that I can see on the photograph. And for the brightest area, they will be in yellow. So when I look at the scene, I look for those areas that has the most white, and I try to either leave them unpainted or use lighter colors on those areas. Okay, so I already done this part, and and I'm actually sketching up this area over here. If you realize that today I am a little bit more loose in my sketching, meaning I don't really care whether my lines are, you know, exactly the same size. This place gives me a very casual feel. So this is how I actually do the shadow area. I will try to just shade with the pen. I normally use a fountain pen for inking, but today I am using the technical pen and found that it's actually quite useful. Sketching with technical pen, there's no need to adjust your flow and everything like that. This ink will just come as long as it's new, you know. I make sure to build up the dark areas because we will not be painting these with watercolor. These are my supplies. My water is here. The brush, the size 10 round brush from Princeton, a rug, the 6 colors on a big palette, spray bottle, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Haha. So to explain how I paint, I desaturated the photograph. So first I started off with using lemon yellow to paint the front, the building that's closest to me. And I added a little bit of raw sienna at the bottom because it's closer to the ground and closer to the shaded areas. And use cobalt blue, the darkest blue tone, on the bottom shaded areas where there are more shadow. When you combine burnt sienna and cobalt blue, you make really beautiful shadow colors, and I use it in the middle. It was really fun painting the building on the left side because there's so much colors. So I had fun using magenta, and then I mixed a little bit of raw sienna to make the peachy orangey color, and then I add raw sienna and cobalt cerulean to make the green, and finally cerulean at the end. I chose cobalt deep blue to paint shadows under the roof of these buildings, and use burnt sienna to paint the Liangcourt, which is at the background. So while waiting for paint to dry, use lemon yellow and cerulean to make green for the window panes of the magenta colored buildings, and to get use cerulean itself on the yellow colored building and magenta for the green colored building. Next was to color the shades of green on the trees in between the two buildings. So for the next step, I paint the sky with cobalt cerulean and cobalt deep blue. And when the paint is sort of dry, I started to detail the Liangcourt building. And before I complete the painting, I make sure I check through that the darkest area are as dark as I can make them. Start by spraying water. So I've already erased off the pencil. I've already done a step-by-step explanation of the painting process earlier on. Here is the process video of how it was actually painted. So sometimes I don't mix it. I just let the color sit on top of the current existing color. I'm kind of messy when it comes to painting, actually. I'm going to use the blue neat over here. Maybe I'll mix it with a little bit of burnt sienna for that shadow. I want to use the magenta for this part of the building. I had a lot of fun painting this part of the building because it's so colorful. Adding some shadows with the blue. Paint the Liangcourt building, which is in the background. While waiting for this to dry, I'm going to start painting just adding some accent. But we just need a gesture, you know, like just to show that These windows are green. Really, that's all. Because I don't have my mop with me, so I think we will try to instead use a lot of water to cover the large area, which is where the sky is. You let it dry again. Draw the essential part, the details of the building. So final touches, adding the shadows. And it's done. I hope this video has helped to understand a little bit more about my sketching process. Fellow sketchers, what do you do differently? Let me know in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one. Bye!